everyone. Myself is Sarvachan Verma, and today we are going to discuss software process. So whenever we are using, whenever we are developing a software product or software project, that project will be come through some process. Whatever the different processes are there while developing a software projects. So today we will discuss in this lecture. Now, basically, if we're talking about software project, basically a software process is a set of activities and associated outcomes that produce a software product. Set of activities means software specification, software development, software validation, and software evolution. Basically, the software process model, it is an abstraction representation of process, or it represents a description of a process from some particular perspectives. Now, the software process model, basically a software process model is a specified definition of a software process which is presented from a particular perspectives. Means in what domain you are going to build our project. So if you have clear clarity about your product and project domain, like um, the project will be financially supported, the project will be healthcare industry supported, such kind of perspectives you have to first analyze. Some example of the types of software process models that may be produced are a workflow model, a data flow or activity model, a role action model. Basically, there are various general models or paradigms of software development: waterfall approach, evolutionary development, formal transformation, and system assembly from reusable components. So these are the some. If we're talking about software crashes, so basically software crashes is a term used to in computer science for the difficulty of writing useful and efficient computer programs in the required time. Basically, now the point is come, what is software development life cycle? Basically, throughout the developing the software, what type of approach you will use, then this approach will be treated as a software development life cycle. A life cycle model represents all the methods required to make a software product transit through its life cycle stages. It also captures the structure in which these methods are to be undertaken. So, what is the need of SDLC? Basically, the software development team must determine a suitable life cycle method for a particular plan and then observe it. It means this is the responsibility of development team, entire development team, that they have to select what is your technical specification, what is the risk behind the project, or such type of risks they will be evaluated, what kind of problem will be arise during the maintenance, during the testing. All such things we have analyzed before developing the software project. Then we have to select which life cycle is suitable for particular problem statement. So this is the process of software development life cycle. This phase is divided into several categories. First phase is requirement and analysis. Then second one is defining. Then third one is designing. The next phase is coding. Then next phase is testing. Then development, and finally maintenance. Basically, these phases are sequentially correlated to next phase. So this is show the complete software development life cycle. We can say during the software development life cycle, these phases are considered. It means whatever you are going to develop, your software project will pass throughout these all phases. These are the some well-known software models like waterfall model, RAID model, spiral model, V model, incremental model, agile model, iterative model, and last one is Big Bang model. Let us discuss one by one all these models. Now, waterfall model. In waterfall model is a continuous software development model in which development is seen as following steadily downloads through the step of requirements analysis, design, implementation, testing, integration, and maintenance. Means all the steps are downwards to the next step. The first step is requirement definitions. Then second one is system and software design. Then third one is implementation and unit testing. Then integration and system testing, and finally operations and maintenance. So these are the 5 steps in the waterfall model. You will see here. Agile model. In the agile method, the entire project is divided into small incremental builds. All of these builds are provided in iterations, and each iterations last from 1 to 3 weeks. Means we will see here, this is the agile development methodology. These are the phase of this activity, or in this development strategy, all the phases are work parallelly, and after completion of each phases, the customer feedback will be tracked, and according to the customer feedback, that will be analyzed, that will be refined, and again inculcate into the development life cycle. So that is the agile model. RAID model. So these are the phases of RAID model. First phase is business model, then with data modeling, then process modeling, then application generations, and last one is testing and turnover. So in this type of model, the first phase is business model. Business model means in this phase we have analyzed what kind of data input to the system and what kind of data generated by the system. So in this phase we have analyzed the entire basic data on which our system will perform. Second phase is data modeling. In this phase of data modeling, we analyze the entire data flow, whenever in which system and which module the data will be passed, and on what system data will be manipulated, and when data will be manipulated, and the next system will take what is the feature of that particular system. So in this phase, second phase, we will analyze all the data process like data flow, DFDs, architect, like this. The third is process modeling. In process modeling, we have start the implementation part. We analyze all the processes inside our system during this phase, and second last is application generation, in which we have used some automatically coding generation tools which are helpful to generate the applications, and finally we will go for testing and turnover. So this model is very useful when you have very less technical risk, because the coding will automatically generated like this. So red model is applicable and most feasible when you have there is a no issue of finance, and in your project there is a less technical skills. And basically this model is useful when you are designing the data set, database architect, like this type of activity. If you want to perform, then definitely you will go for red model. Dynamic system development. So basically it is a hybrid approach to promote agility while delivering business values. So basically dynamic system development method is an agile software development methodology. It is an iterative, incremented approach that is largely based on rapid application development methodology, and this method provide a 4-phase framework. First one is feasibility and business study. Second one is functional model and prototype iteration, design and build iteration, and last one is implementation. Basically dynamic system development approach is a combination of iterative, incremental approach, and mainly based on rapid application development methodology, whatever I have discussed in previous slide. This is the framework. In phase 1, first we have analyzed the feasible study. Then inside the phase 3, we create the functional model. Then in phase 4, we have design and build the system, and finally we have start the implementation. Basically inside these models are most important: agree schedules, create functional prototype, review prototype, and identify functional prototype. In this phase we have just we just design the prototype of a particular software product, and then finally we will implement in the phase 5 according to the create design prototype and review design prototype. So based on this revision, and we have create our real model. So this is the approach while we are following into the dynamic system development methods. Now next topic is extreme programming. So basically extreme programming is an agile software development framework that aim to produce higher quality software and higher quality of life for the development team. So these are the some phases of string programming. This is complete is know the requirements, iterations, estimation, and this complete is the test scenario will be passed, acceptance test, then customer approval. Finally we will release the product. This is a spiral model. The first phase is in the spiral model is objectives, determinations, and identify alternative solutions. And second one is identify and resolve risk. First you identify the risk, and then you have to plan and you create some strategy to resolve the risk. Develop next version of the product, and finally क्या है? Review and plan for the next phase. This will be repeatedly moved until the final delivery and final implementation of the software project. So this is a spiral model. First, there are 4 phases: the objective determinations and identify alternative solutions. In this phase, requirements are gathered from the customer and the objective are identified, elaborated, and analyzed at the last of the every phase. Then alternative solution possible for the phase are proposed in this meeting. Second one is identify and resolve risks. First you have to identify. During the second phase, all the possible solutions are evaluated to select the best possible solution. Then the risk associated, risk, there are many type of risks. With that solution are identified and the risks are resolved using the best possible strategy. Using the brainstorming, we have analyzed the risk and we have find out the strategy how to resolve these type of risk. At the end of this meeting, the prototype is built for the best possible solution. In this phase, we will finalize your prototype. Then next one is develop the next version of the product. During the third meeting, to identify the features are developed and verified through testing. At the end of third meeting quadrant, the next version of the software is available. And finally, fourth is review and plan for the next phase. In the fourth phase, the customer evaluate so far developed version of the software. In the end, planning for the next phase is started. So these are the phases while we are using during the spiral model. V model. It is very useful model. In this model, the development process, we can say verification process and validation process move parallelly. So in this type of SDLC method, testing and the development, the step is planned in parallel. So their verification phase on the side and the validation phase on the other side, V model joins by coding phase. You will see here, these phases cover the verification and this phase is validation phase. This part is coding part. You will see here, first we have done the requirement gathering. During the requirement gathering, we have performed the acceptance testing. Then we have to analyze system analysis. So in that time we perform the system testing. Then next one is software design. We perform the integration testing. Then perform the module design. We perform the unit testing. Finally, we will integrate the entire system. So this is called the V model, and this V model has all validation phase and verification phase will start parallelly. Okay. So during the requirement gathering, we perform the acceptance testing. During the system analysis, we perform the system testing. Then during the software design, we perform the integration. Then during the module design, we perform the unit testing. And finally, we will do coding. So this is the little bit about the V model. Now increment model. Increment model means, you will see here, first we gather the requirement. We have start our builds. In builds, we develop the system. Finally, we will implement the system, and after the implementations, the system, we have to find out some little issues, little problems, which was not covered during the build 1. Then to taking that type of problems and issues, build 2 will go with the same strategy and cover up all the problems whatever they find and they inculcate during the build 2. Similarly, we have built according to 1, 2, 3 and number of builds according to our requirement. Okay. So in this scenario, this is the incremental model. You will see here, we have construct the n number of builds up to we have not satisfied, until we have satisfied whatever we have developed and what we have committed to our customer. So this is the incremental model, and this is the iterative model. Iterative model means, you will see here, this is the requirement, then analysis, then design, and we have complete this implementation part. Then after the implementation, we review entire the system. After that, if we found some problem, then we have to again go with the designing part. Okay. After designing, Again, these phases will be covered: testing, implementation, and review. After that, again, if we found some problem, then again designing, testing, implementation. And after if we review and we find then system is okay, then we have go for deployment and maintenance issue. So this is called the iterative model. Iterative model. Okay. Basically, inside this you will see here we can improve the number of iterations if we found some issues during the review process, and then we have again start our designing, testing, and implementation part. Then again review. If we found more problem, then we have again go for design part, then testing part, and then for implementation part. And finally, if we've not found any issues and problem, then we stop our this process, and finally we are going to deployment our system and maintenance our system. So this is the iterative model. So inside this you will see here, this is the iterative model, and this is the Big Bang SDLC model. So in this model, there is a no need for requirement, no need for designing, no need for testing. Just we have give our time, efforts, and resources and start our development. There is a no need of requirement analysis and gathering the user inputs, customer inputs, and there is a no need for designing, and just we have used our time, efforts, and resources, and we start the directly developing the software, and finally we have released the software. So this type of model will well applicable when we are developing some small applications. Just you have some idea of previous development applications, and just you have used that idea and give your time, efforts, and resources, and finally you will release the software. That is the best example of website. Just we have give the template, see the template, and that template will be converted to the next software project or next web-based applications. So that is about the Big Bang model. Thank you.